Hi, my name is Habib Lesevic, and I am the co-founder of J2C, and welcome to the New World, Berlin's proud companies for evolutionary work and conscious entertainment. We are in challenging times of change and transition, a time where our socioeconomic and political order is cracking at its foundation, a time in which many of us are experiencing overwhelming amounts of uncertainty. The accelerated competitive environment of our globalized but increasingly fragmented economy is imposing unprecedented levels of psychological stress on our workforces. Mental health issues, depression, and suicide rates amongst teenagers and young adults are skyrocketing, despite the fact that they are the most materially privileged generation in modern history. An intensifying stratification of wealth distribution and political power is further straining communities and leading to more frequent and more vehement social unrest. And as a global society, we are yet undeterred in our unprecedented destruction of our natural habitat and natural heritage. But where there are challenges and uncertainty, there's usually also opportunity. So, what opportunity are we presented with in these challenging times? I believe that we are presented with the opportunity to redefine what it means to be human and to usher in a 21st century focused on the cultivation of well-being and prosperity for all life on Earth. The first challenge in embracing this potential, however, is to muster up the bravery to let go of some of the things we know, or more precisely, to let go of how we know. What do I mean by that? I like to recount a story that is somewhat dubiously attributed to Albert Einstein. Einstein allegedly one day was taking a walk with one of his colleagues through a nearby forest. And as they were talking, the colleague pointed out how stupid and egocentric people must have been to believe that the sun would rotate around the earth. Einstein is said to have paused for a moment and then responded, "Yes, you are right. I just wonder what it would have looked like if they would have been right." The point I'm making here is that what we see is to no small extent affected by how we see. That is, the paradigm or worldview through which we view the world. But what constitutes a worldview then? It is the conscious, unconscious assumptions, the beliefs and experiences we hold about ourselves, about the world, and about our position in it. These affect what we can perceive and what we deem to be possible, the so-called radius of possibilities, which in turn affects the options of choices of action that we have available to us or believe to have available to us, and how we finally conclude the action. So what then do we have to consider to let go of in this point of our collective evolution? I propose that we let go of some of the core tenets and beliefs that were instrumental to our progress and prosperity in the 20th century, because they are now hindering us from leveraging our material and technological wealth towards the next level of cultivation of well-being and prosperity for life on Earth. So which are these tenets then? I propose 4. Number 1, we have to challenge the assumption that we live in a mechanical universe void of aliveness and void of meaning beyond the mechanical astrophysical processes at play. Number 2, we have to challenge the assumption that there is a hierarchy of intelligence from least evolved to most evolved, with humanity conveniently topping the charts as the most sentient and most intelligent of the bunch. Number 3, we have to challenge the assumption of the Homo economicus, the idea of the rational economic man, with its emphasis on our material existence and its understanding of well-being defined entirely by material comfort, where the purpose of life is reduced to the pursuit of maximum material benefit. Number 4, we have to challenge the assumption that growth alone is an adequate aim and purpose to govern and inspire our productive lives on an individual and collective level. So, what does that have to do with wellness and well-being? It is these very tenets that are contributing to the challenges of our well-being in the 21st century. Alienation, lack of genuine meaningfulness, existential ennui amongst our younger generations, environmental destruction. I am convinced we can do better. And to do better, we must begin to see better. See ourselves clearer for what we are. See our planet clearer for what it is. And from that, see our position in it clearer for what it can be. As the great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh instructed, inhale, exhale, between two breaths, realize. It is time for us to re-embark on this process of discovery and realization, not just in yoga classes and in meditation retreats, but on a collective, paradigmatal, foundational level. So with this appeal, I want to issue the following invitation to you. I want to invite you to be brave and embark on the journey of challenging our existing paradigm. What is more, I want to invite you to explore and contribute to the emergence of a new way of seeing in the 21st century, one that will enable next level prosperity and well-being for all life on Earth. Here are a few suggestions with which you can start. Number one, I want to invite you to consider that we live in an alive universe. Our universe didn't come out of a production line from one of our factories. Rather, we and our factories came out of it. Our universe is ancient, mysterious, and we are essentially from it and of it. Not just us, but it has given rise to many more life forms, millions on our planet alone. And consider this, in our galaxy alone, we are likely looking at some 300 million planets in the habitable zones of the Milky Way's stars. And that's just one galaxy. My point is, if we are alive, so is the universe, as we are an integral part of it. And chances are, there's more of that in it. Number two, I want to invite you to consider what we are surrounded, not by a hierarchy, but by a symphony of intelligences. The eco-philosopher David Abram tells the story of how he once got caught in a cave during a rainstorm. And as he was waiting for the rain to stop, he noticed a spider that was expertly weaving its web on the entrance of the cave in a pattern and manner that was perfectly adapted to the falling rain. He points out how this ability of the spider to construct a web around such complex conditions was its very own form of intelligence. If you consider this, you will notice quickly that we are surrounded by a multitude of intelligences in nature, be that the tree that knows how to turn sunlight into matter, or the bees that convert nectar into honey, or your dog that can smell the history of your neighborhood in a single whiff. Which of these intelligences is superior or more important? Well, that's like asking which note on the piano is more important, D or F. This diversity exists not on a vertical plane, but on a horizontal plane. They are harmonic, not hierarchical. That is, the tiger's hunting prowess is a major third in the dominant seventh chord of life. This is equally true for the diversity across ethnicities and cultures, as well as for the many intelligences that live within you, be that sensory, emotional, intuitive, or physical. Number three, I want to invite you to consider that we are homo integralis rather than mere consumers. That is, to consider that beyond mere material well-being, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and relational well-being are essential ingredients to a life well lived. Which brings me to my next point. Number four, I want to invite you to consider that we can make genuine, sustainable prosperity and well-being for all life on Earth the purpose of our economic and productive efforts. And when I say prosperity, I'm not just talking about material wealth. I'm talking about the health and well-being of our collective emotional, physical, spiritual, environmental, and relational lives. If this sounds utopian to you, consider this. We are technically already pursuing this. However, we've diverged into measuring growth itself rather than the qualitative impact of our growth, which we are having on life on Earth. Okay, but what does all of that have to do with you and your individual well-being? Well, the way I treat myself is the way I treat the world, and the way I treat the world is the way I treat myself. So, if we can open our eyes to the sprawling intelligence and aliveness around us and within us, and if we can recognize that we are not just in it, but that we are of it, an integrally interwoven piece of the whole, it opens up the doors to do the same with ourselves, our own plethora of intelligences, our own aliveness, as well as the aliveness around us, to embrace new sources of meaning, purpose, and belonging, as well as prosperity and well being for all of us. With this, I look forward to discovering, cultivating, and evolving with you in the century ahead. May we progress into a planetary understanding of ourselves, of our planet, and of our position in it. May you be well. May all be well. And I wish you an enjoyable time with our artist duo, Faces Made of Sound, and the performance of Eden.